We're back. Thanks for staying with us. Joined now by Karl Schilling. He's the founder of the Advocacy Network. Karl, welcome back to the program.
Oh, it's great to be with you again, Don. Thank you so much for the invite.
Now, not only are you the founder of the Advocacy Network, but you're also the host of a new podcast called 10 Minutes to Change Your Mind. Tell us about that.
Yeah, 10 Minutes to Change Your Mind is, I've been a longtime student of the creative mind, as it were, and that how we can manifest better for ourselves and individual thought. The Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, James Allen. So it's always been a big part of my life, and I wanted to share that because I think in the times we're in right now, I think it's kind of very important that people start to really think for themselves.
I think you're absolutely right. The Advocacy Network has saved people millions upon millions of dollars. It's really a noble cause that you have undertaken.
Well, thank you. And we today I've been doing a lot of work. When I say today, I mean in the last months and years, a lot of work on what I think is the greatest financial victimization facing people, and it's right out there in front of everybody. And it's very counterintuitive and it's contrarian. So I'm not going to make a lot of friends on the street. But I think the greatest financial victimization facing people today is the defined contribution retirement plan. The 401k, the IRA, is just strictly a financial victimization, and people should be exiting rapidly. So we do a lot of that, Don. We're working with people to exit the 401ks and the IRAs.
Well, you've got a program that we've talked about a couple of times before, using life insurance. Tell us about that.
Yeah, on the this side of it, we call it the middle class millionaire plan, right? On this side of it, we try to help people understand the true asset value of life insurance. Life insurance is misunderstood for the most part. It's not an investment. It should never be compared as such, and there's too much of that. People tend to compare this asset to an investment, and it's not. But what it does, life insurance creates tax-free liquidity. It creates tax-free income, which is huge. I'll get into that in a second. Why? And it creates generational wealth. Not to mention, on the backside of it, if chronic, critical, or terminal illness is part of an event in your life, there's liquidity for that as well. So it's a great asset. Nothing does what life insurance can do.
Well, you explained this in detail for public company CEOs. How does it work for the individual consumer?
Yeah, for the let's take this 401k scenario, right? There's a way to liquidate 401ks with no taxes and no penalties. And part of the reasons that I tell people to exit, a lot of people never consider this, Don. There are so many different ways when you're partnered with the government for the government to basically, I don't want to use the word confiscate. It's not a good word. It's not that word. It's not that, but they can control your money. Okay. And people don't consider this. Like, let's take the 401k, for example. The 401k has an unknown tax bracket coming in the future. And the government, your partner, gets to choose that tax bracket whenever they like. Okay? So they can change the law. Now, let's say right now, you have to take money out of, the government tells you have to take a certain amount of money out of your retirement plan at age 72 and a half. You have no choice. You can't just let your money continue to accrue. So let's say they lower that age. No one considers that. Let's say they make mandatory distributions at 65 and tax the hell out of it. So now they've increased the taxes. They've forced you to take more of your money. And by the way, when they force you to take more of your money, they also impact your Social Security, because that's all taxable income on top of your Social Security. So these things people don't consider. So we don't put all the money in life insurance by any stretch, but by planning with life insurance, they can create a tax-free income instead of that taxable income every time, right? So when it's tax-free, you don't have the government as a partner, and you don't have any tax on that income. So your Social Security stays pristine. You're not going to get taxed additionally on your Social Security. Your Medicare Part B premium is not going to go up because that's means tested. So there's a lot of little advantages, but the biggest advantage is tax-free income.
Well, as you well know, every tax proposal always says it's going to be from the rich, for the rich, for the rich, but it always ends up hurting the middle class.
Absolutely. Look at this 87,000 new IRS force. Now, we all know, let's be honest, we all know that a promise such as it will only affect people above $400,000 is a convenient mistruth. It just makes people feel better because there's no reason for 87,000 more IRS agents to just simply go after the same people who are already paying 70% of the taxes. Right? So really, you need a bigger force to go after the people below the 70% of the taxpayers. So where is all the other additional tax money? The additional tax money is not with the rich. The additional tax money is with the middle class.
It's always been that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say it, but if you're in the middle class, you got a target on you right now. Mass affluent, starting from the mass affluent especially, and then trickling right down. And that's another reason, Don, to not stay in these qualified retirement plans with the partnership with the government, because when people start exiting, you and I know how the street works. You better get out, because when you start exiting and the liquidations start showing up, Wall Street will partner back up with your partner, the government, and they'll shut that window down. You won't be able to get out.
Karl, it's pretty sad when the financial victimization source is the government who supposedly works for us.
Very, very sad. And I don't like to say this as a fearmonger. I'm not trying to generate any fear. I just think it's contrarian common sense.
Once again, Karl Schilling, the Advocacy Network. Karl, sage advice. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it.